VW is losing its biggest market in the world, and here is why. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Chinese EV Show. I'm your host Toby. Don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe before we get started. It helps the channel a lot. So today I'd like to talk about the fate of VW in the China market and what is happening to its market share. The brand's figures for 2023 just came out, and while at the surface it might seem that their growth is happening, actually these figures are all quite bad. It claims that its sales in China rose 1.6% overall, but this is against an industry which grew 5.6%. Also in EVs, it claims that EVs grew 23% in the year of 2023. But again, compared to the growth of the EV industry of 36%, again, it is losing ground. It is growing at a pace slower than that of the industry. And this is not good. Put quite simply, there is this transition away from ICE brands like Volkswagen, who used to dominate mass ICE vehicles in the Chinese market, and towards Chinese brands who most definitely dominate when it comes to EVs. And this really has nothing to do with the fact that they are Chinese. It just so happens to be that Chinese EV brands can offer so much more in the way of competitiveness. As we know, Tesla is a very good seller here in China. People don't really care about where the product's from at the end of the day. They only want the best option. I have a lot of people complain on my channel about I would never buy a Chinese product, which they type using their iPhone, which of course was probably made in China. Would you buy a Chinese EV? Why or why not? Make sure you let us know in the comments below, and make sure you leave a good reason as well. This is very bad news for Volkswagen, who have enjoyed a very long and profitable history here in China. It was one of the first brands to come here as a foreign and local JV, and it has sold millions and millions of cars over the last few decades. And for a long time, it has depended on China for over half of its profits. And it has actually been the best-selling brand here in China. But this changed last year when VW was knocked off the top spot by, guess who? Yes, BYD, of course. Speaking anecdotally, my wife bought a Tiguan maybe 11 years ago. And at this time, these Volkswagens were a very, very popular car. They weren't Mercedes or Benz or Audi, but they were kind of like mid-level, very nice SUVs. Great quality, great efficiency, very reliable. Still working today, no problems with it. But today, I don't think she would consider buying a Volkswagen. So I think consumers' opinions, consumers' views of this brand have definitely shifted over the last decade. How do you think VW has evolved over the last, let's say, decade? How do you think their products have changed? Do you think they've lost their competitiveness? If we look at their history with their Golfs and their Polos, do they still have these legacy, these massive world-beating products that they used to have? Please let us know in the comments below. Volkswagen has been trying very hard to kind of claw back some of this market share here in China. It brought this in China for China strategy, where it spent billions and billions of dollars trying to create products that the consumers here would like. Obviously, it understands it needs to win China in order to be successful globally, which a lot of brands understand now. But this was obviously too big a task for them. Their latest release, the ID.7, is a bit of a running joke here in China. Massively overpriced and under-equipped. It received a few hundred orders on the day of its release. If we compare that to a car which was released kind of a similar time, the Zeekr 007, we can really see the stark contrast between what legacy Western brands and Chinese brands are offering to consumers. The Zeekr 007 is a super competitive offering, including the fastest charging speeds of a passenger EV ever, which has really highlighted these differences between European and Chinese brands when it comes to EVs. Once again, the Zeekr 007 received 50,000 orders in pre-sales before it even launched. So if you had a choice between these two, the Zeekr 07 and ID.7, which one would you choose and why? I guess the question is, will the Zeekr 07 come to Europe? I don't think it will. So you might not even have to worry about having this choice. I will say that VW do sell a lot of ID.3s here in China, but they sell them, I believe, at a loss. They sell them very, very cheap. They're around $15,000, I guess, for a brand new one. So they're selling these cars at a loss to try and get rid of some of this outdated and unwanted stock. In this shrinking ICE market, VW are stuck without products that Chinese consumers like, and this is a very big problem. As we can see from some of their partnerships last year, they obviously plan to change this by leveraging some local partners here in China to produce better options for consumers here. But at the same time, if we look at the growth of the top brands in China, we can see within the top 10, Volkswagen, Toyota, and Honda have all lost market share. And why is this? Is this because they don't have very good competitive EV offerings for consumers here in China? But I don't think these brands will take it lying down. I think they have something up their sleeve, and I think they're going to try their hardest to win this market share back. Because everyone knows to be successful globally, you must be successful in China. Okay, that's it for today, folks. What do you think will happen to VW? Please let us know in the comments below, and be sure to give us a like and a subscribe. I've been Toby. I'll see you next time on the China EV Show.